I don't really know how to start this, but I guess I just need to get it out somewhere. I'm using a throwaway because a few people from my town use Reddit, and I can't risk them connecting this to me. I'll just call myself D. I'm 38 years old. I've been married to my wife M for 10 years. We have, or I guess I had, 2 kids, E8 and J6. I can barely bring myself to write those names right now because my heart physically hurts just typing them. I used to think I had the kind of life every man secretly hopes for. I met M when I was 26. She was 23, beautiful, funny, a bit shy at first, but with this light in her that made every room brighter. We met at the diner in our small town, one of those places where everyone knows everyone, and the waitress already knows your order before you even sit down. We dated for 2 years before getting married. Back then, we didn't have much, but it didn't matter. We were happy. I was working at a local construction company, and M was doing some part-time administrative work at a dentist's office. We bought a small house together with a big backyard, the kind of place where you could imagine raising a family, and we did. Ellie was born 2 years after we got married, Jack 3 years after that. Those first few years were beautiful, chaotic, exhausting, but full of love. I'd come home from long days on site, and M would be in the kitchen, hair messy, kids laughing, dinner on the stove. It wasn't perfect, but it felt like home until about 6 months ago. It started small, like most disasters do. M began acting distant. Not cold exactly, just preoccupied. She started spending more time on her phone. Said it was just work stuff. I didn't think much of it. I trusted her. I always trusted her. Then there were the late nights. Girls' nights, extra shifts, errands. Again, I didn't want to be that paranoid husband, so I gave her space. But one night, something felt off. It was a Thursday. She said she was going to meet her friend Sarah for dinner. Around 9 p.m., I got a text from Sarah asking if M was feeling better. I stared at my phone for a good minute trying to process that. I called Sarah. She told me M had canceled earlier that day, said she wasn't feeling well. My stomach dropped. I didn't say anything to M when she got home around midnight. I just watched her. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek, said she was tired, and went to bed. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I told her I was taking the day off work. When she left for errands, I followed her. I felt sick doing it, like I was betraying her trust, but deep down, I already knew something was wrong. She drove 2 towns over to a small motel, parked, and I watched her meet a man in the parking lot. I didn't recognize him. Tall, maybe mid-40s, wearing a baseball cap. They hugged, then kissed. I thought I was going to throw up. I sat in my truck for almost an hour after that, staring at the steering wheel, feeling like the world had tilted sideways. I didn't confront her that day. I couldn't. I didn't even know what to say. For the next few days, I pretended everything was normal. I needed to think. Needed to be sure. I started checking phone records. Found messages, hundreds of them. I miss you. Last night was amazing. He's home early tonight. I don't think I've ever felt that kind of pain before. It's not just sadness. It's humiliation, rage, disbelief, all rolled into something that makes your chest feel like it's collapsing in on itself. When I finally confronted her, she denied it at first. Said it was just a friend, then she cried. Then she said it just happened a few times. But the more I pressed, the more the truth came out. It had been going on for almost 4 years. 4 years. I remember sitting on the couch, feeling like I was watching someone else's life crumble on TV. My wife, the mother of my children, had been lying to me for almost half our marriage. The affair partner was someone from her old job. His name was Tom, apparently. They'd met at a conference. He lived in another town but traveled through ours often for work. Em said she ended it months ago, but my gut told me that was another lie. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw everything out of the house, but the kids were home. Ellie was coloring at the table. Jack was watching cartoons, so I just went outside, sat on the back steps, and cried like a child. That night, I slept on the couch. Em tried to talk to me, begged me to forgive her, said she made a mistake, said she didn't love him, that she wanted to fix this. But how do you fix something when you don't even know what's real anymore? I told her I needed time. She agreed to stay with her sister for a while. A week later, something strange happened. I was talking to my friend Mark about everything. He asked me if I'd ever done a DNA test, just to rule things out. I laughed it off at first. Come on, man, those kids are mine. But then that voice in my head wouldn't stop whispering, so I ordered one. One of those at-home kits, swabbed my cheek, swabbed the kid, sent it off, and then waited. Those 2 weeks were torture. Every day, I'd go to work, come home, and sit in the kids' empty rooms. Ellie's drawings on the wall, Jack's toy trucks lined up neatly on his shelf. I'd look at them and think, they have my smile. They have M's eyes. Then the results came in. Neither E nor J was biologically mine. I don't even remember how long I sat there staring at the email. I read it once, then again. I thought maybe I mixed up the samples. Maybe the lab messed up. I ordered another test, different company this time. Same result. When I confronted M, she broke down completely. Said she didn't know, that she thought they were mine, that Tom didn't know either. That was the moment I think I stopped loving her. Not because of the affair, but because she still lied even then. Still tried to soften it. Still tried to twist it into something less monstrous than it was. I moved out the next day. I've been staying at my friend Mark's spare room for the past 2 months. I'm filing for divorce. M keeps trying to talk to me, sending me emails about how the kids miss me, how we can get through this. But how do you get through the fact that your whole life was built on lies? I don't even know what to do about the kids. I still love them. They're innocent in all this. They're the only good thing that came out of my marriage. But every time I see their faces, I see the betrayal too. I'm in therapy now, trying to figure out what moving on even means. Some days I'm numb. Some days I'm angry. Some days I just want to disappear. I used to think I I knew who I was, a husband, a father, a provider. Now I'm just D, a man with no family, no trust left, and 2 children who aren't his. I don't know if posting this helps, but it's the first time I've been able to tell the whole story. Maybe someone out there's been through something like this. Maybe I just need to know I'm not alone. It's been 2 months since I found out. 2 months since my entire life collapsed under a few lines of text in an email from a DNA lab. I still wake up some mornings thinking it was all a nightmare, that I'll roll over, see M beside me, and everything will be fine. But then I remember I'm in Mark's spare room, surrounded by boxes of clothes and the sound of silence. I used to wake up to the sound of E and J arguing about who got the blue bowl for cereal. Now, I wake up to my own breathing and the sound of the clock ticking too loudly. The first few weeks I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My body was in survival mode, but my mind was still stuck on replay. Every smile, every I love you, every bedtime story. I started wondering which moments were real and which ones were built on lies. M still tries to reach out. She sends messages every few days. Long, emotional walls of text. I know I can't undo what I did. You're their dad, no matter what the DNA says. I'll do anything to fix this. Sometimes I open the messages, sometimes I don't. Every time I do, I feel that same nausea crawl up my throat because she still doesn't get it. This isn't about fixing something. It's about the fact that everything we built was fake. You can patch a hole in a wall, but how do you patch a hole in your soul? A few weeks ago, M showed up at Mark's house. I don't know how she found the address, but she did. I was outside splitting wood when her car pulled into the driveway. I froze. She got out, tears already streaming down her face. D, please, she said. Just talk to me. I told her she shouldn't be there, that I'd talk through my lawyer. She shook her head, stepped closer. You're punishing me and I deserve it. But they, E and J, they don't. They need you. That broke something in me, because she was right in a way. They do need me. But I don't know how to be dad anymore. When I see them, I feel love and heartbreak all tangled up into something unbearable. I still see the way J lights up when he sees me, how E still asks if I'll come to her school recital. But I also see T's shadow behind their faces, and that's the kind of pain that doesn't fade. Last week, I had my first real visitation since moving out. M dropped the kids off at Mark's place. I tried to act normal, smiling, hugging them, asking about school, but it felt forced, he noticed. She always notices everything. Are you mad at mommy? She asked, her little voice breaking my heart. I told her no, that mommy and daddy just need some time apart. She frowned. Are you still my daddy? That question nearly ended me. I wanted to scream yes, that I'd always be her dad, that nothing would change that, but a part of me hesitated. And that hesitation was enough to break me even more. I told her, of course I am. But when I said it, it didn't sound like my voice anymore. That night, after I dropped them back off, I sat in my truck for an hour in front of M's house. Lights were on in the kitchen. I could see M moving around inside, probably trying to keep busy, to look like life was normal. For a second, I thought about knocking on the door, about yelling, demanding answers to questions I've already asked 1,000 times. Who was T to you, really? Did you ever love me? Did you ever stop loving him? But then I realized none of it mattered. The truth wouldn't fix anything. It would just hurt more, so I drove away. Therapy has been strange. My therapist says I'm experiencing something called ambiguous grief. It's the kind of grief where the person you're mourning isn't dead, but the version of them you loved is. That hit hard, because M is still out there, still breathing, still texting, still existing. But the M I loved, the woman I married, who I thought was my best friend, she died the day I opened that email. And the worst part? I still miss her sometimes. I miss the illusion. A few nights ago, I got drunk for the first time in years. I'm not proud of it. Mark found me sitting on the porch with a half-empty bottle of whiskey, staring at my phone. M had sent another message. This one just said, "You're their father, D. Please don't disappear from their lives." And I thought, what does father even mean now? Is it biology? Is it love? Is it the years of scraped knees, bedtime stories, and piggyback rides? I know the answer should be love, but knowing and feeling are two different things. Last weekend, T reached out to me. Yeah, him. He sent me an email, said he was deeply sorry, that he never meant for any of this to happen, that he didn't even know the kids might be his. I didn't respond. What do you even say to the man who unknowingly replaced you in your own family? Part of me wanted to meet him, to look him in the eye and ask what he has that I didn't. Another part of me wanted to put my fist through a wall. Instead, I deleted the email and went for a walk. It was raining. I remember standing on the bridge at the edge of town, staring at the dark water, thinking about how quiet everything gets when you lose everything. I'm not suicidal, but I understand for the first time how people can just stop existing inside. A few days ago, I got a letter from E's school. She'd written a short essay for Father's Day. They do it early, apparently. The teacher sent it to me because E wanted me to see it. It said, "My daddy is my hero because he always makes me laugh and he reads me stories about dragons. I love him because he's the best daddy in the world. I cried harder than I have in my entire life because for her, I am still daddy. DNA be damned." That letter broke me open, but it also started to heal something I didn't know could heal. I don't know what the future looks like. I know the marriage is over. Em is trying to rebuild her life and maybe someday she'll find peace. I'm not there yet, but I'm starting to see that E and J don't need a perfect dad. They just need me. me, even if I'm broken. I don't think I'll ever fully forgive M. I don't think I'll ever stop wondering what might have been if she had just told me the truth. But I'm learning that sometimes healing isn't about forgiveness. It's about acceptance. The life I thought I had is gone. But maybe, just maybe, there's a new one waiting. I still sign my name as D, not dad, not husband, just D. But maybe one day, that'll be enough. It's been 6 months since I found out the truth. Half a year since the email that tore my life apart. Time's a strange thing. It doesn't really heal you, not exactly. It just puts space between the wounds so you can breathe again. I'm still staying at Mark's place, but I've started looking for a small house to rent. Somewhere close enough to E and J that I can see them often, but far enough from M Street that I don't accidentally drive past it. I don't know if that's progress, but it feels like movement. The therapy sessions are helping, slowly. My therapist told me that grief isn't something you get over, it's something you learn to carry. She said I've been grieving 3 different deaths. The marriage I thought I had, the fatherhood I believed was mine, the version of myself that trusted without question. She's right, I'm not who I was before all this. I'm quieter now, more careful with what I give my heart to, but also more aware of what really matters. A few weeks ago, M asked if we could meet for coffee. Just to talk, she said. I told her I'd think about it. For a few days, I wrestled with it. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to demand an explanation I already knew wouldn't satisfy me, but another part of me just wanted closure. One honest conversation, even if it hurt. So I met her. We sat outside a cafe in town. She looked tired, older somehow, like the guilt had settled into her skin. She said thank you before anything else. I know you don't owe me this, she said quietly, but I needed to say I'm sorry face to face. I didn't say anything for a while. I just watched her hands shaking as she held her coffee cup. She told me she'd ended all contact with T months ago, that she'd told him not to reach out again, that she was trying to focus on the kids, on rebuilding. Then she asked me a question I didn't expect. Do you hate me? I thought about it for a long time. The easy answer would have been yes, but the truth was more complicated. No, I said finally. I don't hate you, but I can't love you either. Not anymore, she nodded. And for the first time in a long time, I believed her tears were real. We didn't talk about getting back together. We both knew that Bridge was gone, but when I left, something inside me felt lighter, like the air in my chest wasn't poisoned anymore. The kids are doing better. She's reading chapter books now. She insists on telling me the plot of everyone. G is obsessed with baseball. I went to his game last weekend. When he hit his first ball and looked over at me, the smile on his face, God, it was pure. He didn't care about DNA or betrayal or any of the mess between the adults. He just wanted me there. And for the first time, I didn't feel that ache in my chest when I looked at him. I just felt love. That night when I dropped them off, M came out to say thank you. I nodded, but before I could get in the car, Jay ran back and hugged me again. I love you, Daddy, he said. And this time, when I said it back, it didn't hurt. It felt right. I've started journaling again. My therapist suggested it. Some days the pages are angry, full of curses and memories I want to erase. Other days they're soft, about the way E's laugh sounds like bells, or how Jay still reaches for my hand when we cross the street. I guess healing looks like that. Not a straight line, but a messy, uneven road where some days you crawl and some days you stand tall. A few nights ago, Mark convinced me to go out with him and some coworkers. I almost said no, but something in me said it was time. At the bar, I met someone. Her name's L. She's not like M. She doesn't make grand promises or pretend everything's perfect. She just listens. We talked for hours about everything and nothing. I didn't feel that spark people always talk about. It wasn't fireworks. It was quiet, calm, like standing in sunlight after a long storm. We've met for coffee twice since then. I'm not calling it anything yet. I'm not ready for that, but it feels good to talk to someone who sees me without pity. Yesterday, I drove past the old park where I used to take E and J when they were toddlers. The swings were still there. The same trees, the same broken water fountain. I sat on a bench for a while, watching some other dad push his little girl on the swing. And I didn't feel jealousy or sadness this time. I just hoped he knew how lucky he was, because I did once. And even though it all burned down, I still had those moments. They were real, even if everything else wasn't. Sometimes I think about writing T. Not to yell, not to threaten, just to say I forgive him. Not for him, but for me. Because carrying hate is exhausting, and I want to be free. Maybe I'll never send it. Maybe forgiveness doesn't need an audience. But I've learned that forgiveness isn't saying what you did is okay. It's saying what you did no longer controls me. Tomorrow, I'm moving into my new place. It's small, a 1-bedroom with creaky floors and a view of the woods. E and J are coming over this weekend to help me paint the living room. They picked the color. Blue, of course. M texted me tonight. She said she's glad I'm doing better, that the kids are excited to see my new house. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel anger when I saw her name pop up on my phone. Just acceptance. I don't think healing means forgetting. It means remembering without bleeding. I'm not the man I used to be, but maybe that's a good thing. So here I am, still D, still broken in some ways, still piecing things together. But when I look in the mirror now, I don't just see loss. I see someone who survived it, and maybe that's enough. It's been almost a year now. A year since the truth came crashing down and destroyed everything I thought I knew. If you had told me back then that I'd be sitting here today, calm, at peace, watching the sunrise through my kitchen window, I would have laughed in your face. Or maybe cried. Probably both, but here I am, breathing, living, healing, and somehow that feels like a miracle. When I first moved into this little house, I hated the quiet. It was too still, too loud with my own thoughts. Every creak in the floorboards, every gust of wind felt like a memory trying to crawl back in. But now, I've grown to love the silence. It's not loneliness anymore. It's peace. Sometimes I wake up early just to make coffee and sit on the porch. The woods behind the house smell like pine and rain. There's a bird that always lands on the same branch every morning, right before the sun hits the horizon. For a long time, I used to wonder how something so ordinary could feel sacred. Now I think, maybe peace doesn't come from forgetting pain, but from finally learning to live with it without letting it poison you. Em moved out of town last month. She got a job offer in another state and decided to take it. When she told me, I didn't know how to feel at first. A part of me was sad because no matter what happened, she was a huge part of my life. But another part of me knew this was right. We both needed distance to truly move on. She said she wanted to start over. I told her I hoped she would. We're not friends, but we're not enemies anymore either. And honestly, that's enough. E and J are growing fast. E's handwriting is getting neater. She wrote me a card last week that said, "Daddy, I love your blue house." It feels happy inside. Jay's baseball team won their first game of the season. He made sure I was in the front row. After the game, he came running up and hugged me so hard I could barely breathe. Those moments, God, they remind me why I survived all this. I used to think I'd lost everything. Now I see that the love between us was never tied to biology. It was built on time, patience, bedtime stories, and scraped knees. That love is real. It always was. Elle and I are still seeing each other. It's nothing dramatic. No labels, no pressure. Just two people who enjoy being around each other. She's patient with me in a way I didn't know people could be. She never asks about Em or the past unless I bring it up. When I told her I wasn't sure I could ever love again the same way, she smiled and said, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe love is supposed to change after everything you've lived through. Sometimes she stays over on weekends. E and J met her once, knows about it, and surprisingly, she was okay with it. The kids liked her. He said she has a calm smile. It's strange, building something new after everything that's burned down, but it's not scary anymore. It feels honest. There's this moment that sticks in my mind. A few weeks ago, I was fixing a loose doorknob in the hallway when Jay came up behind me. He handed me a screwdriver and said, "Here, Daddy, I'll help." He looked so serious, trying to be helpful, and I don't know why, but I just froze for a second, because that word daddy used to hurt so much, but now it felt like an anchor. Not something that chained me to the past, but something that kept me grounded in the present. I hugged him, right there in the hallway, with the screwdriver still in my hand, and I whispered, "You already helped me more than you know." Sometimes at night, when the kids are asleep in the next room, I sit at the kitchen table and reread the old journal entries from the first few months after the truth came out. Back then, every line dripped with anger and disbelief. I barely recognized the man writing them, but I keep them because they remind me how far I've come, how much pain I've survived, how much of myself I rebuilt. I think we all have our breaking points, and sometimes the only way to find out who you are is to lose everything first. I got a letter from Em last week. Not a text, not an email, an actual handwritten letter. She thanked me for forgiving her, even though she said she didn't deserve it. She told me she'd started therapy, and that she finally understood what she'd done, not just to me, but to herself and to the kids. At the end, she wrote, "You may not believe this, but I'm grateful you were their father. You always will be." I folded the letter, put it in the same box where I keep old photos and the kids' drawings, and for once, I didn't cry, just smiled. There's this phrase I heard once: closure isn't a door that slams shut, it's a window you open when you're ready to let the light in again. For a long time, I thought closure meant getting answers, justice, an apology. Now I know it just means peace, and peace doesn't always look like happiness. Sometimes it looks like a quiet morning, coffee on the porch, and two kids laughing in the next room. Today marks exactly 1 year since I found out the truth, so I did something small but important. I went to the lake just outside town, the one where we used to have picnics when the kids were toddlers. I stood there for a while listening to the water, then I took off my wedding ring. I'd kept it in a drawer all this time, not because I couldn't let go, but because I wasn't ready to. I threw it into the lake, not as an act of anger, but of release. It made a small splash, then disappeared under the surface. And I swear, as I watched the ripples fade, I felt the weight in my chest fade too. When I came home, E and J were waiting for me. They ran to the door yelling, "Daddy!" and I picked them both up, laughing. For the first time in what feels like forever, I realized something simple and true. I didn't lose my family. It just changed shape. And maybe that's what life is. Learning to love what's left instead of mourning what's gone. If you're reading this and going through something similar, if your world has fallen apart, if betrayal has shattered everything you thought was solid, I want you to know something. You will survive. You will breathe again. You will find pieces of yourself in places you didn't know existed. And one day, when the pain feels like a memory instead of a wound, you'll look around and realize you're still standing. Maybe not the same person you were before, but someone stronger, someone softer, someone freer. That's where I am now. And for the first time in a long, long time, I'm okay.